guys, STLYoungblood with you for the third part of our Patron Roundtable for June. If you haven't seen the first two parts yet, they are already, I guess, on my channel. So if you need to go actually see those, I'll make sure I have some links in the description of this video. Again, we have Clem, Brento, and Rock with us. We'll be discussing our third topic this time, focusing in on hacking gameplay. There's a lot of potential places to where hacking becomes really interesting, and I think the reason it was most frequently on our mind recently was based on last week's ATV, where they were talking about nav beacons. And the ability to actually not only destroy them to screw with people, but also having the ability to hack them, and people kind of lose their way. So hacking probably takes on a lot of different forms in Star Citizen. You see it from the ability to do that on any ship. You see the ability of ships like the Sentinel that's been labeled as a trickster. You see things like the Herald, which has obviously got some ability in that realm. And then you've got some other categories. So I guess let's just start it off. If one of you guys want to kind of speak up, what's the most intriguing thing about hacking to you?
There's a lot of big hacker in you.
Hacking any kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? The exploration type stuff. Like, let's say they do something for ship scanning. And not just like a nav beacon, but you can drop a beacon and it's going to tell you if a ship gets into this area. Hacking one of those and, hey, I've got a little thing out here that I take care of or maintain, and all of a sudden a fleet of Vandal has dropped in on my little thing. Doing something like that to another person would probably be quite entertaining. I would hate to have it done to me, but at the same time, that's something that may be possible. I mean, you could get somebody to jump up and down and go run out there and there's nothing there, and they're getting false alarms from their beacon. But that's the kind of joke you play on your buddies, Yeah.
It makes you wonder the level of detail that's going to go into this, and how much it's going to allow the player to customize what they want to do with these beacons, and how much of it's going to be these are the predefined options that you actually have available to hack.
Mm-hmm.
In my organization, the UEMC, even though we're basically a mining organization, there's still some people that like a variety of type of games. And at one point there was a discussion between a few of them about hacking and so on, and basically using hacking that in the midst of a combat battle, being able to disrupt communications, especially once we have like Spectrum integrated with game, and you can, I don't know if they would go all to the point where you start making real communication glitch or things like this.
I think you're currently being hacked.
Yeah, most of that came through as gibberish on our end.
Yeah, so, I think you're currently being hacked. You came through with
sorry. That's exactly what I was saying. Imagine you can do that in game.
Disrupting communication. It was so meta.
And that was good. Wow.
So appropriate.
A way to demonstrate what you're talking about while you're talking about it.
So basically what you're saying is, if this was an emergent situation and we were trying to communicate with you to figure out how we were going to do things, and there was some hacker in the area that prevented us from happening, we'd probably all be dead because of that hacking attack. Is that right?
We would be too busy laughing.
You can disrupt communication between people from the same side during a battle, and makes them more difficult to coordinate their effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think
just like you guys could not hear me, so that's
that's right. We couldn't have coordinated anything with you.
Now, part of that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, the one that I think I have the most interest in from hacking is actually the data spike missile. That's the one that's been brought up a few times. We've heard it referred to. We have an idea of what it does, but the idea of something that you actually physically launch out of your ship, it latches onto another enemy ship, and then all of a sudden gives you some form of control within their ship, that's really interesting. And you start talking about defenses to that. You start talking about how much control you can actually get. It's a cargo ship. You can launch a data spike missile to the back of their ship. Then all of a sudden you hack it to where you say, drop shields, open up the back door, release the cargo locks, and all of a sudden cargo just floats out the back of the ship as they're flying. Something like that is really, really intriguing. And I think trying to figure out how that gameplay actually works and how much control you get, and like what there's pros and cons to everything in the game. What are the benefits and negatives there? That's the one piece that I have more interest in regards to hacking than anything.
I'm curious to see how that would go, because you would hope that there's, a flashing red light somewhere inside the ship, because I'm probably going to be the guy flying the cargo ship, and all of a sudden I've got a flashing red light. What does this mean? What do I need to be worried about? Can I stop you from, ejecting my cargo before it happens? So I'm hoping that, that's a form of PvP that I haven't heard people talk about. But if you're going to let somebody use a data spike missile, I want the option to keep my cargo in the ship if I can, have the actual skill to reverse hack or defend my ship in that manner.
Yeah.
So there's an argument for having multiple crew.
All right, having somebody watching your back door. Well, let's change the phrasing on that a little bit. We've seen similar things in Elite Dangerous. You've actually got this the cargo door pod. I can't even remember what it's called. A limpet, a cargo hatch limpet, I think is what it was. And you actually shot it out. It would attach to their cargo door and force it open, and all of a sudden cargo would just start falling out as they were fleeing away. Now, it would obviously be an illegal activity, and you'd pretty much pick up a warrant right away for doing that. But it's not unheard of to have something like that actually happen.
No, I don't think it's ridiculous. And that's the thing. Because we're waiting on a lot of information about organizations in this game. Are we going to be able to have a war? Are we going to be able to have a legal, no interference from the UEE war between our organizations? Because now you've got a cause to have that kind of gameplay, and it not just be, hey, I'm a dirty pirate. It's we're in economic conflict now.
Right.
There's neutral sector. There's going to be basically systems that are not under the UEE regulations, but they're not part of another race either. Right. So unregulated.
At that point, well, it's unregulated, but that doesn't mean it's legal. It would still be illegal under UEE rules. That's the fine difference I'm painting there.
But then you're
into that. It's illegal.
In the woods.
Exactly.
The whole question, is it illegal if you don't get caught? And
well, right. but like with the reputation system, are you going to take a reputation hit for doing that out in the middle of the void?
Yeah,
because if
that's a good
somebody
question.
lives, they're going to report what you did or didn't do. And of course, there's the PvE versus PvP. We're only 10% of the ships out there, so to speak. So if you're out there beating up, some random corporation that's NPC, are you going to have an impact to your credibility for doing that? Versus if I'm in a legalized war with another player corporation. But that's the whole thing with hacking is, do you have to be a dirty pirate to be a hacker? That's one of the questions I really have.
Well, and I think there's so many different ways that hacking presents itself that I don't think there's any requirement there to actually be a pirate. On my STLYoungblood account, I've got a Herald on there, and I plan on doing some hacking, but maybe it's the pirates are utilizing some beacon, and that's where they always stage up their ambushes. I might go in there, hack their beacon, and then as they're staging their next ambush, I'm made aware, and I can jump in, help whoever's needing the help, and then maybe collect some bounties. That probably goes to other areas as well. Maybe you get a mission all of a sudden to go, change the orientation on a comm array. Instead of having to get out there, fly into the comm array itself and do the work, maybe I can sit there from the backseat of my Herald at a distance and be like, okay, there's probably pirates around. I'm going to sit here undetected. I'm going to try and go ahead and flip the orientation by tapping in remotely. I think there's a lot of different aspects that it takes on, and some of that may even just be for use in combat. I'm in my Herald. We're on a combat mission. I probably wouldn't normally bring my Herald to a combat mission, but if it was part of a support ship, for example, let's take the Herald out of the equation. Let's start talking about a Sentinel. We're escorting a whole sea with some super valuable information and super valuable goods. We start coming under attack. If I'm using my Sentinel to throw up, different bleeps and bloops on their radar, so it looks like there's 10 times our fleet, or if I'm utilizing, some sort of disablement weapons that kind of fall into that category too. I think there's different places to where that plays into a good-sided gameplay as opposed to unlawful.
Right.
And all of the examples we gave were human to human. But what about human to the Vandal? Will we could be using some of those technology hacking to hack into the Vandal and disrupt the Vandal communications and so on during gameplay?
See, that goes back to like what you're talking about earlier, and what I was thinking about with like breaking up fleet communications. So maybe we don't have to worry about, hey, we can't talk over spectrum. Maybe it's more of a situation where you've got a torpedo ship sitting in the back of the enemy fleet, and that torpedo ship can't get targeting data from the front of the fleet. So, I kind of expect to see gameplay where I've got my Polaris sitting back here in the back, and I'm chucking a torpedo from as far away as I can get a sensor lock. But that sensor lock is piggybacked off of the ships on the front line. Right. If you can break my sensor lock, now I have to come all the way forward to engage you. And I don't want to be all the way up there in the middle of the firefight. I want to be back here where it's safe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't really disrupt verbal communication between humans, because they're going to be on TeamSpeak or whatever.
Yeah, if you try to nerf spectrum, they'll just go somewhere else.
Yeah. Yep. So that doesn't really work. But yeah, disrupting the targeting information, fleet information, that kind of thing could definitely work.
Imagine disrupting the targeting information of an inbound torpedo. You've got a whole E and you're running safeguard for, and all of a sudden an Eclipse pops out of nowhere and launches out 3 size 9 torpedoes at your whole E. Maybe you're able to get in there and just say, nope, you're going to strike 30 meters to the right, and it ends up being a miss as opposed to a hit. That seems like really emergent gameplay, and I think that kind of falls into the category of what CIG is trying to develop. That real, we want you to have control over this universe. It's probably super complicated, but I think that's something that could be interesting.
I would expect it to be a pretty tricky mini game, and it would be exciting, which is the big thing. I mean, obviously you want all of this stuff to be interesting.
And it would be all part of the countermeasures.
Mm-hmm.
There's already countermeasures implemented. So.
Mm-hmm. And what about a situation where you're faking the death of friendly ships? Let's say that you pull off some magic hack, and now the people in the back of the engagement, they see all the ships on the front line get exploded, or the guys in the front see the ships in the back get exploded. Well, my support just left, whichever position I'm in. Is this a fight to the death, or am I bailing out because it's not looking good for my side anymore?
Yeah. That kind of gets into that radar jamming ability, and if that ends up being something that's maybe done via like an interdiction type of device, or if that's something where you're actually hacking into their scanners and sensors and avionics to say nothing's there anymore.
Oh yeah. And that that's a fun one, because what's going to happen whenever you see somebody else's ship blow up? You're going to yell, you're going to what happened? Right. Well, I don't know if that means your ship blew up or you don't. I don't know anymore. I just know that you're not happy, and I'm not happy because I don't like what I see either.
Yeah.
So that side of it would get really entertaining really fast.
Yep, totally agree. I'm trying to think where else hacking could really play a presence in the verse. I think for the most part, it's probably going to kind of more fall into the stealing data. We've even had some lore posts in the past about how there was a guy in a Herald that actually tried to tap into a military, data line, which I thought was interesting because it was out in the middle of space. So I guess it was a wireless transmission with some super thick encryption on it. And maybe this was when they started talking about this is when they were doing the lore building for the Retribution class. And the guy actually tapped in and was in there for like a tenth of a second and got some 3,000 pages of documentation or something like that. But that's something that becomes really interesting as we start talking about implications of how data is sent around the verse and how you make decisions based on how you communicate with your organization and with the authorities and everybody, because maybe it doesn't make sense to send things wirelessly even though that's available, or you have to kind of set internally within your organization different levels of classified information, so you're actually then choosing the right way to communicate that. But if you can hack into some sort of relay node and start gathering information that's coming through, maybe it's even just some random explorer that's sending information to like the Ark, for documentation, and you steal that, maybe you can claim that as yours as opposed to that person actually getting responsibility or I guess credit for their claim.
Right.
There's probably a lot of things that go in as far as just the stealing of information that falls within that hacking realm.
And so far we've been talking only about hacking while in space, but there's a whole gameplay that's going to happen on the planets and the moons and the bases too, where people can be there and just act the system to change the reputation, change the maybe even go all the way to change the market price on stuff and try to basically influence the economy.
That's dirty.
But that's
I like
tricky.
that.
That's tricky, but you never know up to where they can go, right?
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're going to do it, but
you're bringing potatoes in, and then all of a sudden your buddy on the surface changes the price of potatoes to be the price of gold, and you're making a killing.
Yeah, that's buddy.
Yeah, or
I don't think they're going to go that far.
Instant javelin.
But but let's say reputation. Already in the alpha game we're playing, you get a criminal rating and you go to Security Post Korea and you hack the computer and you reduce your crime state.
Right.
So what about reputation? The step is not that much further to be able to start changing your reputation or someone else's reputation and so on. So I don't know. It's not mining.
Brock's being hacked again.
But
yep.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's a lot there, and I think it's going to be on space stations, and I mean that's another one. There's all of a sudden you want to take control over a space station. It's already occupied by other forces. You hack the doors open. You open a hangar or something. That's technically kind of still a space aspect of hacking, but it's also kind of land based, being a station. I think there's a lot of implications that go in there that all of a sudden mean having somebody that's capable of doing hacking with your crew is really important, but having somebody that's also prepared to deal with hacking when it's taking place retroactively is probably going to be important too.
And I think that's going to matter with Outpost a lot. Eventually, we're looking to have ownership and control of Outpost. Yeah, somebody coming in and hacking your Outpost and taking it away from you is not going to be fun. But how else are you going to transfer ownership of something in unlawful space or on a planet that's in an unlawful system? You've got to have a system for changeover, and hacking seems like a reasonable venue for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that even reminds me of talking about stolen ships and having the making adjustments to transponders so it doesn't flag as a stolen ship the second it pops onto your radar. That may be a hacking task as opposed to actually replacing a transponder. Maybe you can do it either way. You could take it to a chop shop and have somebody put a good transponder in there, or maybe you just do it on your own. You have the ability to hack that component so it's not flagged as a stolen ship. That's another just layer of all of this.
And that's where I worry about a few things, because you can take hacking too far real quick. If I can be a pirate and I've stolen a ship, I've loaded it out, my ship looks like I'm a good guy, and I'm going to fly around in good space and come find you and act like I want to do something normal. I don't like that. I don't want pirates to be able to show up and look like my best friend. So I'm hoping there's a line in there somewhere.
I think that line is the reputation system. It's tied to you as a character as opposed to your ship. Now, the question in game is how do you determine who's actually flying that ship that appears to be a good guy ship?
Oh, that's what I'm getting at with, because that's meta at that point. But I don't want somebody who has an absolutely horrible reputation to be able to get within 5 feet of me without some indicator that this guy has done a lot of bad things.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, and that's a challenge, and I think that's going to fall into what that reputation system is. We saw that, and I always go back to Elite because it's obviously the closest analog to what we really have today. But in Elite, you could go kill somebody and then just fly to a normal space station, and as long as you weren't caught on your way there, you could pay your fine, and boom, you could get back out there, go murder and repeat. And you saw that constantly. I mean, I remember within the first 2 weeks, I would. I'd be interdicted. I'd get blown to shit by somebody that wasn't even wanted. And it's like that was so calculated. And it was so prepared. That's not new to them. Like there's no way they weren't like a bad person before that. And that continued. Even after I played Elite for 6 months, all of a sudden I'd be interdicted by an anaconda who'd one shot me, and I'd be like, well, damn.
And you've still got that problem to this day with Eve, with what's referred to as suicide ganking. It doesn't really matter what your status is. If you can get the ship and go out there and find somebody mining, you can pretty much kill them and get away. I'm going to exchange a 500,000 ISK of your ship for 20 million of mine. Have fun.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. Yeah, I get angry about it, but if I see something like that in Star Citizen, it's going to really turn me off quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, I expect that in the alpha and the beta, but if they haven't got a working solution by live, I'm going to be extremely upset.
Yeah. All right, cool. Anything anybody wants to add about hacking?
No, I think it's going to be fun. I hope that the actual hacking itself is interesting. It's fun to do, and it's challenging. It's difficult. It should be difficult.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to go crazy. People are just going to hack everything.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. The difficulty needs to match the potential rewards of it, and the potential implications that you're bringing to other players by even allowing hacking in the game. Yeah, that's probably the bigger balancing piece there. So, all right, cool. Well, before we sign off, anything you guys are wanting to promote? We'll just go top to bottom again, Clem.
Yeah. If I get back to doing my YouTube videos, I'll have some content.
You have the channel started though, at least.
Oh yeah, we're off the ground. I've just had 2 months of personal life that will not let me be.
Yep, that'll happen. All right, Brent.
Same as always. I've got some music uploaded. I haven't really recorded anything new recently, but I'm working on some stuff. So hopefully I'll have something up soon. Some new stuff up soon.
You two guys need to get back to it.
Yep,
All
definitely.
Right. Rock, what you got?
Well, still same thing. If you're looking for mining, you know where to find us. And we're looking forward to 3.0. So that's about it.
Perfect. And guys, I just want to go ahead and say thanks. I appreciate you watching. The types of conversations that you're seeing in these videos are the types of conversations we have in our Discord channel pretty much every day. So if you have interest in being part of something like this, or you want to be a part of the conversations on Discord, or just feel like supporting the channel, becoming a patron has some benefits, and I think we all have a good time together. Other than that, gentlemen, I appreciate your time being a part of this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there's things you want to maybe throw out there that we can suggest in future videos, feel free to do those in the comments as well. Otherwise, again, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and take care.